Well, hello again. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're from. I'm glad you could join me today. We dive into uh, part 3, chapter 6 of the book. And as we're waiting for people to join, this is the book. The book is launched, it's on Amazon. And you're welcome to jump on and get the book. The reason we're doing this is, and here is the book. It's finally launched. It takes a lot of effort to put a book together and launch it. So I hope you can appreciate the importance of this. 196 ready to use situations and strategies. What does that mean? It means as you go through the book, you'll find each chapter gives a preface to explain what we're covering in that chapter. And then within that, there'll be situations, explain the context, the insights, and the practice sessions on how to deal with those situations as a leader or as a coach. And 196 of those. So it's broken up into 4 sections deliberately. The first one is the self-awareness side before you can really dive into being able to help other people. You want to be able to recognize your own traits, your own behaviors. And so the second stage goes into the understanding of the neuroscience of behavior, why we are behavior intelligence focused. That's critical foundation to then move into part 3, which is what we're doing right now, which is what are the things to watch for as a leader? How do you bring change? How do you help people pivot? Today's session talks a little bit about that. And finally, part 4 is the one that takes you through the planning and implementation of a lot of that. So again, the book on Amazon. Please jump on, support us in this launch. It's 300 pages in here. So there was a lot of work that's gone into that. It's volume 1 of 2. So I'd love your feedback on that. These recordings are online so that if you want to follow along with the book, with each chapter, the videos are available. And we're also launching a brief questionnaire to help people identify some of those traits and get some, if you like, AI coaching to get you started the right way with the areas you want to work with. So without further ado, let me just check. We are connected and we are live. Just make sure that people can hear and see me. Thank you. Great. It looks good. So let's get started. Go back here and voila. Let me get my technology working. Let's switch hats here as usual. This is live, guys. I love the lives. It's just so engaging. So today's session, let me just go back to that first slide, if I can get it to do that. There we go. Right. So adaptive leadership through behavior intelligence. Behavior intelligence is really the foundation to leadership intelligence. Before you can become a great leader, you need to understand the lay of the land, if you like, in order to understand the behaviors, your behaviors, other people's behaviors, how you can influence that, what motivates people. All of these things are really part and parcel of what this book is all about. So the patterns are critical. So when we talk about the leadership trap, we're really addressing some of the typical things that happen in organizations. Even if you're a small team, you will experience some of these things. So, people, humanity is such that people tend to, or leaders will tend to respond when something happens rather than, getting ahead of it and planning it and structuring things in a way to improve consistently. They hang on to their plans. They put a plan together and they fix it. We used to joke about that in the old days. We used to be able to do 10, 15-year plans with organizations. Now we're lucky if we can get 1-year plan established. The world is changing so quickly that even 90-day plans have to embrace the ability to pivot quickly. And I'm going to talk about the importance of that today. It's a critical element of the world we're in today. There's so much information. AI is changing the world. There's just a need for us to no longer use the excuse of, I don't like change, or I can't handle change quickly. If you are one of those people, you're just going to get left behind, right? So the world is moving quickly. So today's focus, we're going to talk again about pattern recognition. It's not about your role, your position, your title. You are really there to understand people and how to influence people through the patterns of behavior. Okay, behavior intelligence is key. And our humanity is such that we're constantly testing things. And what I mean by testing, you can't test something if you don't have feedback, right? That's just shotgun approach, or whatever you want to call it. It's really not learning anything if you don't have feedback. So even, as a toddler growing up, we always joke around, at what age did our kids figure out how to open their bedroom door, or the playroom and escape? Even our front door, we had a situation, I joke about it. So, it's the test and try, trying different things. It gives feedback, the door opens or it doesn't open. That's how we learn. That's how we evolve. That's how we develop. It's the way of our humanity. So if you are, burying your head in the sand a little bit and going, oh, our behavior is not important, it's emotion, and you focus only on emotional intelligence, you're missing the big picture of how physiologically we engage with the world, how we learn, how we evolve. So that's the critical foundation of why behavior intelligence is so critical. So today's session, let's talk about that. Number one, it's the firefighting. We've touched on that in a few of the sessions. Being reactive, doesn't really create a trust environment, a healthy environment. It means we're just going to wing it and really struggle in achieving the goals effectively, consistently, and improving. So what tends to happen is deadlines are going to be missed because we're waiting for that trigger, and it's always too late when we're into firefighting mode. Leaders who see patterns solve the root causes, okay, as opposed to the band-aid solutions that we see. So what is the patterns? What are we talking about when we talk about patterns? You can, whatever language feels comfortable for you. It's cue, routine, reward, or it's trigger, action, and reinforcement. All right. And what that means is something happens as a trigger. You need to observe that and observe what action takes effect when people are triggered into responding to that. Okay. And then The reward or the will then reinforce that pattern to be repeated, or it will do the opposite to that. So what you reward will reinforce what pattern you want to have in place. So pattern awareness becomes a key to then being able to shift out of those patterns. Okay, so here's an example. The ambiguous stories in a project caused lots of creep in scope. So clarity or lack of clarity and specificity going into a project can very quickly be misunderstood, and you're into responding to situations after the fact rather than planning it. And we get into scope creep and budget blowouts and missed goals and all kinds of consequences when we don't do the planning properly. It's like building a house without a plan. You're just starting to build stuff. It's vague. Yeah, it's going to be a house. How accurate and specific is that? It's not, right? So the same with most tasks. Most tasks are really mini projects. They have a start and an end, an outcome that you want to achieve. So think of it as, plan those steps and clarify the scope within that. Okay, I'm digressing a little bit, but we're really looking at that pattern and saying, okay, the pattern of, yes, we're going to launch a product. Great. We'll launch a book. Great. But if you haven't planned all the steps in between, it's just going to go off the rails. You're going to miss deadlines. You're not going to achieve what you want. So taking time to look at the pattern and learn from the pattern. So, maybe you'll mess up the launch of book one, right? We've done a number of books already that you can get on our website. And, we constantly learn and improve from that. So book 2 was better. Book 3 is already significantly better. And, we keep learning and adjusting by looking at the feedback of the behavior patterns of what happened, how it happened, what was the trigger, and so on. Okay. So to turn the patterns into something useful, you need to remember that patterns don't fix themselves. Leaders redesign them. Okay, that's an important distinction there that you need to recognize. What does it mean to redesign them? First, I talk often about, most businesses don't achieve their full potential because they don't have the ability to recognize the steps in their process, the pattern that's in their process. Those that are great at identifying the steps in their process are more likely to succeed because they can improve that. They can automate things, they can delegate, they can do all of the things that allow you to scale so you can achieve your full potential. And that's why this is so important. It is a foundational component of every successful business. And this is actually talking exactly on that. And so the behaviors are what allow you to see what systems you need instead of blaming people and making excuses. Systems, etc., are critical part of this. Okay. So here's another example where the system was such that the first level support people in an organization, and I still see this, it drives me just absolutely insane, where an organization will set deadlines on the first level support. For instance, an organization we deal with at the moment, they have a 10-minute deadline on first level support. If you don't solve it in 10 minutes, you need to escalate it. And so what happens is the client experience is the problem isn't solved and it's been escalated, it's been put into a new bucket, and it's like it's been swept under the rug, if you like, and hopefully somebody will get to it because we've shifted the workload from the front line that should be able to have solved that to now creating a massive queue of escalated challenges that really aren't complex enough to be escalated. They don't belong as a escalated problem. So that's a broken system, okay? And so you need to recognize, is it a system fix or is it a people fix? Is it a process fix? What's the behavior? And the important of that is before we blame the people, we need to look at whether the system is forcing that situation, okay? And when the system doesn't support and complement people in their function or forces them to follow particular steps without really thinking, we have human beings and we still need them because they're the ones that can deal with exceptions, situations that really need us to do that. All right. So the system audit, right? Track the behaviors for a week. So in order to figure out whether it's a system problem or a people problem, track it. What's the behavior? What's the flow of the steps that take place? And everything has a trigger response. It's steps. Every step within a sequence of delivering a service or a product. Think of it as even in a manufacturing phase, new raw products come in, they get booked in, they get logged, they get tracked, they're managed in the warehouse. All of these are steps. They then go into manufacturing. They go into step 1, step 2, step 3, throughout the manufacturing plant until they are a finished product, okay? It's all steps, okay? Even the sales process, the things that are in the system drive what people will do and how they'll follow it. If you've got a really good system that captures all the data and the information that you need, then people will follow it. They will get results with it. If the system is causing them to throw stuff over the fence to somebody else, then you will get blame and excuses showing up all the time, okay? So beware of the importance of how systems are impacting the performance. Rigidity, again, this is not embracing humanity. Our ability as human beings to flex and adapt easily is great. Technology, okay, we could say AI is learning to do that, but it's not there yet. It still makes mistakes. It doesn't see the context. It doesn't have the actual environment, situation. It can't exist in the room with you at the same time, right? It's in a closed environment. Now that's going to change over the next decade, but it's not here today, right? All right. So, example, the marketing calendar. We planned 6 months of content, and then something happened. There's been a big shift in the market, and you can't pivot because you've already fixed that 6-month plan. The competitors who can pivot and transform quickly and shift quickly become the leader, and you lose that edge that you might have had at the beginning. So rigidity kills relevance, right? So keep that in mind. You want to It's not like the old days. You can't do a 10-year plan and have it fixed and know your budget and everything over a 10-year plan. That was possible 40, 50, 80 years ago. It's not possible today, okay? So build flex points within your system, all right? Allow, do the 80-20 rule. 80% can be within the system, but 20% is that exception that humanity can handle. We can deal with those exceptions. I often tell people, we have a methodology that we use with businesses. It's process first. Document the steps that happen in the process. Automate what can be automated. Systemize what can be systemized. Then, what's left can be either delegated or has to be escalated at that next level. So that's the process, okay? Right now I'm calling it PADDY, process, automate, delegate, and the final I is implement your parts of it, okay? So flex points, quarterly plans, monthly pivots, these are critical things that you need to put in place within your organization in order to stay competitive, in order to be flexible and stay at the edge of your brand, your identity, and so on. Use behavior as a feedback as well. So this is now we're getting into, okay, you do these things, you start to adjust some of the areas, the systems, and you've mapped them. And then you've got to test it. You've got to watch for the feedback, I love the statement, annual surveys become autopsies. It's too late, right? It's almost, I hate to say, like accounting. Accounting happens often. People look at their finances at the end of the year. It's too late, guys. You need to be looking at it weekly. You need to have, a 12-week plan, and you need to watch it, and you need to adjust it every 12 weeks. That's why we have 90-day planning sessions. They're the greatest invention ever. It allows people to reflect, look at the feedback, and not wait too long to pivot and adjust. If you're just doing it for the exercise, you're missing the whole point of the 90-day plan. All right. Behavioral feedback indicators, so watch for what's going on in your organization. If there's declining participation or slower responses, what's going on? Ask the question. These are feedback about people or systems, whatever's going on in your organization. You can see that. And the warning signs are there early. We just often go into denial and ignore them until they blow up and they become a fire, right? So pay attention to those early warning signs. Build a routine, a habit of pausing and recognizing if there is an early warning sign that you might be missing. Maybe someone is showing up late regularly. All of a sudden that started to happen. You ignored it because they've been so loyal for a long time, and before you know it, there's a resignation letter on your desk, and you go, oh, I didn't expect that. The warning signs were there, right? So the same with systems that are broken. If you're losing customers and getting negative feedback on your support line, don't ignore it. If it's one, you might be able to say, yeah, that's an exception that's likely to happen. But when it starts to be 10% or more, you've really got a problem that you need to deal with. Okay. Oops. So behavior wins every time over opinion. Opinion is in people's heads. You can't read minds. You can't interpret it. You can't, dissect it, understand it. You can only watch the observable behavior. You can only work with adjusting the behaviors. Behaviors show the truth. Okay, and so lead with behavior and confirm with language, communication. I know I beat this to death sometimes, but if people aren't asking questions and if you're not getting into a conversation, it's really just a top-down relationship, and so it's fraught with vagueness. It's fraught with one person's perception of what could happen. You need that feedback in order to correct, adjust, and eliminate that four-letter word that I come across often called misunderstanding. I just hate that word, right? And I need to eliminate it constantly. Misunderstandings should never happen if communications, questions, discussions have been fully engaged and explored. Okay, so do that properly. Pillar number 5. All right. So lead the pattern, not the person, right? So, remember we talked about this in a few sessions and many times, saying you did this, pointing the finger at somebody, that's not useful. Identifying the pattern and talking about the pattern. If you start focusing on the people, the individuals, rather than the behavior, then you are going about it. You're not a therapist. You're not going to psychologically alter their brain and how they think, etc. But you can through behavior. Okay, fix the workflows, not the people. The people will comply. They will come along if you provide the infrastructure the right way. In one of my earlier careers, one of the methodologies that I put in place, it's called plan, plot, and within that you go through a lot of rigor around the organization, the structure, even the location, the environment, the people, and you look at the whole picture as part of that. So you want to spend time doing these things in order to improve the workplace environment for you and for your team. Okay, tools, AI, etc. All right. So if you don't have any mid-sprint check-ins, right, there's going to be rework, duplication, delays. There's going to be all kinds of things. If you just wait till the end to see what was done wrong, it's exhausting having to go back and redo stuff. So remember that is a critical element of getting things done right first time. So this goes back a very early consulting years, and we had a major shift. We were shifting software development from years of development to deliver something that nobody uses, in fact, to shifting to creating software that is delivered in 3-month increments in order to make sure that people, are being brought along the journey of the change that's about to happen in small chunks, but also to adjust and correct so that you're not spending millions of dollars. This was a $40 million project that was going off the rails. And by restructuring the delivery of the pieces, etc., I was able to then re-engage the team in a different way. And we delivered a product that was just bang on, very effective, helped the customer, etc. So These are all learning lessons that we've been through them. Don't reinvent the wheel and try and figure it out all over again. These things work. So follow the system and use that effectively. All right. So look for the weak steps, the collaboration. Good systems make people great. I love that statement, right? So make sure you pay attention to that. Pillar number 6, behavioral adaptability builds resilience. So I often hear people talking about the importance of the resilience, but they don't really explain the context of resilience. Some people might think of resilience and being rigid, and resisting. It's not that. It's the ability to adapt and pivot. Okay, resilience. Something goes wrong, you don't just go, throw the baby out with the bathwater. No, you reinvent yourself. You rethink. I often talk about reprogramming your brain. It comes through behavior. Practicing a new behavior allows you to reprogram your preconditioned responses. Okay. Example here, the budget cut that's happening at the moment. We're seeing it everywhere, and people are panicked because they haven't learned to pivot. They haven't learned to adapt, so they stall, they freeze, they get the deer in the headlight look, if you like. And so you get the paralysis happening rather than the innovation, the pivot, the ability to move forward. So, you can pilot this, you can test it. We've talked about it in other sessions, right? Run a 1-week experiment, do an EAR situation, a triage situation for a mini project. Let's see how people respond to that, right? We play games sometimes in a similar fashion to highlight some of these things. It's actually really enlightening to see how people respond in a high pressure game, right? So it's cool to do that. Sprints, right? Ask what worked, what failed, and have that monthly check-in. It's important to do that on all projects. What's happening. If it's a really tight deadline, you might need weekly check-ins and maybe even daily huddles to do that. That's what a triage situation really looks like, sounds like, feels like. It's one where there's a lot of communication. Back to that project that I talked about, we shifted from monthly steering committees to daily updates, okay? Daily conversations. That's what makes the difference, okay? So remember these things, they're critical. So today we've covered these 6 areas, just like I did last week with those 6 about the behavior side of things. Now you've got the system importance and the interaction between behavior and people and systems, okay? You can't run a business just on the soft skills only. You can't run a business on the KPIs only. You need to understand how the two interact. That's leadership intelligence founded in behavior intelligence. And we also talk, because of my background, I often talk about the business intelligence, the technology, the processes, the tools. This all fits together like a glove, basically. It's critical to being able to pivot, to grow, to be successful, and to achieve what's possible in your organization. So, 3 tools, pattern mapping. Okay, so do that, do it in a workshop, or get a coach to do that with you, right? You can videotape it, you can do all kinds of things. AI can help you analyze some of those things today. That's an amazing way of using that to speed up your analysis, give you some different perspectives, but collaborate with your team, okay? create a behavior dashboard, right? And put in place the rapid pilot sprints, right? Start small, adapt fast, and lead the pattern. Next week, I bring all this together. Now we're finished part 3, chapters 1 through 6. And I always like to finish just like in the book. You have the summary sections that explain what's happened and give you some tips so you can make some notes, etc. The book, again, a very useful tool. That's what we're working from. So we'll do a 30, 60, 90 check next week. So you have a plan, again, leveraging this part of the book. Okay. Adaptability will win every time. Flexibility will win every time, right? Behavior speaks louder than surveys. Don't do the autopsy, right? Pay attention to those early warning signs and listen for them, okay? Lead what you see, adapt what you must, okay? So, questions for you. Again, we'll watch for your questions online, but think about, what patterns limit your team's ability to achieve the outcomes that you want to achieve. What sabotages, maybe do an Acumatch map of your team, your culture, okay, to understand what are the blind spots that are sabotaging your outcomes? What systems are sabotaging your business opportunities? Do you have flex points? Are you testing those? Are you constantly looking at that? So next week, see you next week. And I look forward to us connecting. You can reach me. It's on the bottom of the screen there, Nagui@biqorg.com. Events, if you're looking at past events, recordings, they're all online, or join the BIQ network so you can actually engage and grow with others on the team. So, as usual, take you back to the beginning here, and a quick reminder, the book on Amazon, it's in Kindle form or paperback copy if you prefer that. They're both there for you, right? 300 pages of easy to use situations and practice sessions. All right. Lots of explanations. There's a good reference at the beginning and at the back of the book that deals with guiding you also to different parts of the book. So thank you for today, and I look forward to seeing you next week.